welcome to the Ubiquiti presentation for the next generation 2 switches. As I've mentioned before, let's have a look at why we are here today. We'll go through the MiRO introduction. We'll talk a little bit about the switch introduction. Lately, UniFi has launched quite a couple of new generation 2 switches, all the way through from non-PoEs to PoEs and even Flex Minis. We'll talk about the convenient control from the UniFi controller. All of this, of course, we're going to do a little bit of a live demonstration. We're going to talk about how to have secure insight and oversight on your devices, how to create scalable solutions, and of course, Khotso's favorite, the multi-site management. And we're going to have a look at the fiber connectivity that's also available from these switches. Let's have a look at why MiRO and how we can empower you to connect communities. Now, for the past 18 years, since MiRO was founded in South Africa in 2003, we've applied our industry knowledge that led to the company building up a formidable proven track record of supplying powerful, flexible, and scalable solutions. MiRO has positioned itself as a responsible supplier to the growing IP convergence and joins the JSE-listed company Ubiquiti as a result. Now, as you can see there in the middle, as a proud PE Level 4 contributor, we also sell and export to 35 different countries around the world. With over 170 staff members based throughout our 4 South African branches, those branches, of course, being in Cape Town, Durban, Nelspruit, and Centurion. And we also have a branch up in Africa based in Kenya. With over 2,500 items in our catalog, we managed to ship 95% of those orders the same day. Now, as a distributor that keeps stock on hand, we move a new product every 12 seconds. And in 2020, as you can see by those numbers, we far exceeded the 640,000 items sold in 2019. But up and above all of that, what are the value-added benefits that MiRO has and that you as a business partner can enjoy? Tailor-made solutions are made available to all of our partners, whether it be a one-off application or a full network solution. Our team is constantly updating their knowledge to ensure that we stay relevant with the markets and even, dare I say, setting some examples. Onto the complete solution. Now, to be among South Africa's leading distributor of wireless networking, VoIP, and video products, it means that we have to have the best of breed products to ensure that we find a complete solution for you. The benefits of having a vast product platform means that we've got products to assist in Wi-Fi and broadband solutions, such as indoor and outdoor new Wi-Fi 6 access points, as an example, all the way through to mobile and LTE, where we have products such as MiFi and again, the Wi-Fi 6 routers. With infrastructure, we've got quite a big portfolio with regards to masts, brackets, cabinets, and even outdoor safes to protect your hardware from theft and severe weather. From our VoIP portfolio, we have brands that showcase phenomenal conference attributes, enterprise solutions, all the way through to supplying a full unified communication layout. Our security portfolio consists of indoor and outdoor surveillance hardware with additions such as facial recognition and our latest access control equipment. With Fibre, we have all that is required for a fiber network infrastructure, including the OLTs and ONUs. The only thing that we unfortunately do not stock at the moment is fiber cable. We also cater for IoT requirements such as gateways, which can work with your existing network solutions, all the way through to 3G fleet management. On support, if you can see that service and support is our main focus, and our highly trained technical staff can assist you with all of your solution plannings, heat mapping, those type of things. And they will work in conjunction with your dedicated sales engineer that has already been assigned to your account. We also have an RMA department to ensure any faulty or problematic hardware units are sorted as soon as possible. With MiRO, we've also launched a new service offering, which is on-site assistance. Of Of course, we do take into consideration the current state of affairs with regards to COVID regulations, but please feel free to send us an email to support@miro.co.za, and we'll be able to provide you with some more information on how this service can benefit you as a business partner. On the legal compliance side, we are a stock holding distributor, and we're a proud market leader when it comes to type approvals for your products. So this also ensures a steady supply of legal equipment in accordance to ICASA regulations. On the financing side of things, so MiRO offers two finance options in partnership with IPFin. With the run rate account, MiRO offers a 7 or 30-day account, but you're also welcome to apply for a hardware finance option, whereby you can do the finance for your own account, or you can pass it on to your client. You can get in contact with any of our sales engineers, and they'll be able to assist with a quick application. Training side of things, we are very proud to introduce our very own MiRO Academy for those of you that have not joined us yet. This platform is available to all of our business partners, where you can enjoy the convenience of training online, all the way from certified training courses on all of our products through to introductory courses introducing you to various aspects and applications to the telecommunication industries. Courses like Zero to Hero, Fibre, etc. If you connect with training at miro.co.za, they will be able to assist in finding the perfect training course for you. And our training calendar is also available from www.miro.co.za. Right. That is us. There are a couple of our links. You'll also find us on most social media platforms, but please feel free to get in touch with us and join those platforms for updates quite regularly. So all the way back to the UniFi Ubiquiti Generation 2 switches and the reason why we are here. Now, I'm sure that we've all experienced the frustration of getting, let's say, your office and enterprise solutions set up with Wi-Fi and have to control and monitor or manage even your applications from one platform. Now, with the ever demanding and expanding business expectations for secure and reliable Wi-Fi connections, Ubiquiti has introduced their latest Generation 2 switches. So let's have a look at some of the attributes that make up these switches. Now, those of you that know Ubiquiti, with these new Generation 2 switches, have stuck to their design philosophy. They are completely made out of metal, harnessing a near silent, fanless design. It can be deployed in areas where fan noise would be distracting. On the left-hand corner there, you'll see even there where my cursor is at the moment, or there at the bottom, you'll see a 1.3-inch touchscreen displaying system information, things like errors, warnings, port statistics, and even has a throughput page. The best part of the screen is it shows port statistics, which you can access from scanning the ports from your phone, where it will provide you with real-life data. Now, the UniFi switches are integrated into the UniFi platform with intelligent switching performance and PoE Plus support with a redundant power supply, a unit that we'll talk about a little bit further into the presentation. Now, I think for everybody that enjoys the word control, this is the solution. Actually, just quickly while we are on it, sorry, I'm going to do something here just to show everybody what I'm talking about when it comes to the actual port detection. Also, can you still see my screen? It's currently on ui.com. As you open ui.com, as everybody can see there, hopefully, on the UniFi access point, the UniFi app on your phone, there's an update on that app. And what you basically do is you use your phone and you scan over the ports. You actually just move your phone over to the 1.3-inch screen. It will detect the actual switch. Not too sure why this is now not updating. It will detect the switch, the ports on that switch, and as you move your phone around, it will actually detect what is connected to what port and the statistics thereof. I'm not too sure if this is now not working because I'm sharing my screen, but if you visit ui.com, you will be able to see that a little phone pops up, and it then starts with your port sharing, or it actually shows you how it works. And of course, Murphy and I are quite tight today. I apologize. But yeah, if you guys do visit ui.com, I'm sure that it will show up. Right. Back to the switches. Let's start with the UniFi Switches. I'm not too sure if you have seen the new light 8-port PoE and the 16-port PoE. Now, these light switches, both the 8 and the 16 port, are fully managed layer 2 switches, as you can see, with 8 and or 16 gigabit Ethernet ports for your RJ45 Ethernet devices. Now, 4 on the 8 and or 8 on the 16 port light switches also offer auto sensing 802.3 AT PoE plus ports. Now, the 8-port light has a total of 52 watts of PoE wattage, where the 16-port has roughly 45 watts for UniFi access points or other PoE devices. Now, the UniFi network controller and mobile app will allow admins to configure and monitor virtually all of the switch features in a graphical user interface from anywhere, which is, of course, another benefit for these switches. And we'll see in a moment on the live demonstration how that platform actually looks. Right, the USW Flex, let's see if this works, brilliant. It features a single PoE in port for power and 4 PoE ports that provide up to 15 watt PoE output to power let's say, a UniFi access point or any other PoE devices. With the 802.3 BT rated PoE switch, so these switches basically, as you can see there, it's got an 802.3 BT rated PoE switch. Now, together with USW Pro 48 port switches that we'll show in a moment, or even the Pro 24 PoE switches. And then, of course, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the industrial switches. If these Flex switches use those Pro switches as a power source, it means that the USW Flex will support a maximum of 46 watt PoE output budget. Per that picture that you see there, it's perfect for a solution where you need to power cameras, etc. Right, it does come with a weatherproof housing and offers versatile mounting options. On the right-hand side with the Flex Mini, there's also a 5-port managed gigabit Ethernet switch powered by 802.3 AF and 8T, or alternatively 5 volt 1 amp USB power adapter. Okay, which, great news, is included with these switches. Okay, it also offers 5 RJ45 Ethernet ports, providing 1 gigabit links to your devices, which is great if you're looking to expand your network. Okay, the PoE switches, you have them available in the 16, 24, and 48 ports. We'll touch base on the pros in a moment. But for now, these PoE Gen 2 switches are configurable gigabit layer 2 switches with gigabit Ethernet ports, including auto sensing 802.3 AT PoE plus ports, with 2 SFP ports. It provides gigabit PoE links to your RJ45 Ethernet devices and a gigabit fiber uplink option to your enterprise networks. So as mentioned, all these generation 2 switches have a 1.3-inch touch LCM to provide status information. It's also, for those of you that haven't handled any of these, they're quite shallow, and they're quite a compact little unit, fanless, of course, which is great, especially if you need it to be installed in, let's say, something like a Soho rack cabinet. I think it is important to note before I continue on with this slide, if we have a look at the USW24 PoE Gen 2 switch, the one in the middle, you will note that out of the 24 ports, there are only 16 PoE ports on that switch. It's the 802.380 PoE plus port. Okay. The additional is your normal data ports. It has come to our attention, obviously, or a question rather has been raised, why Ubiquiti would do this. As I've said, the 24 PoE Gen 2 switches, not the Pro, the normal PoE Gen 2s, for instance, come with a 95 watt PoE budget. So things to take in consideration when you start looking at these generation 2 switches. For a full 24 port Gen 2 switch, you would have to upgrade to the Pro version, which you will also see has got a much higher maximum PoE power. It also comes with the Smart Power DC input option, the unit that we'll have a look at in a moment. But it's basically, if you have these installed in a cabinet, for instance, you do have the option of a redundant power supply. So the Pros has got its pros, excuse the pun, but where the normal PoEs obviously do not. Still a great switch if you're looking for a fanless design. But yeah, just something to take in consideration that not all the ports are PoE ports except for the Pros. Good. Let's have a look at the 48 PoEs and the Pro 48 PoEs. Now, yeah, like I've mentioned, there is a Pro version as well in both the 24 and the 48 port switches, with the difference being predominantly the PoE power, full PoE ports. If you consider the 48 port Pro and the normal 48 PoE, the difference in wattage power is more than double on the Pro. The Pro also has layer 3 features with 4 10 gigabit SFP plus ports and comes with the Smart Power redundant power supply or the DC input. Okay, the same type of attributes carry through things like near silent cooling, etc., and of course those 1.3-inch touch LCM screen. Those little brackets that you see on the side, the rack mount kits, or brackets rather, are also included with these switches. Now let's have a look at the non-PoE switches, the 48 ports, for instance. Now, if you look at these switches and their feature sets, you'll see are pretty much exactly the same as what the PoE switches are. It's got the same silent cooling for use in an access layer switch. It's got layer 2 capabilities. And these switches, like I've mentioned, is the same except for the fact that the one range is PoE and the other one is not. Do not forget about using your mobile app to do portion. If you're looking at things like the 48 port, it's such a convenient app. And once you scan over those ports, it will show you exactly what is connected to which port, the status, Ethernet ports, and of course your gigabit RJ45 ports, all the way through to the Pro versions that have these Smart Power DC input options. Okay. Best part, all of this managed obviously through your UniFi network controller, which we will touch base on in a moment. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see there that we do, that's the unit that I was talking about with regards to the smart power redundant power system. That model, my apologies, should be the USP-RPS. Now, this is important to note. It is a redundant power system that is designed to protect up to 6 UniFi smart power supported devices from sudden power supply module failure. Okay. The USB RPS will continuously monitors all attached devices. In the event of an internal AC to DC power failure, the failover is automatic, so your network continues to operate with no interruption in service. We've actually tested this. It works 100%. With a 950 watt DC power budget, the USB RPS can protect a variety of high power devices, including your UniFi Pro switches. It's got the same integrated 1.3-inch color touchscreen, the LCM display, for your system information and, of course, convenient monitoring. Okay, it's also rack mountable, and the kit is included in that switch. Now, I think it's time that we start with the good stuff. I'm going to give over to Khotso, which I can see is already trigger happy and about to stop my screen. He wants to get into the demo account. So Khotso, thank you for joining me again today in this webinar. And as I think we start with knowing more about your network, predominantly the question that has been raised, or the topic that's been discussed in the last while now, is things like network security. And the network security is a constant and ever-changing battle. Please share your screen, show us some things, and I'd like to know, what is your comment with regards to network security going forward?
Thank you so much, Elmo. And moreover, thank you for inviting me into the webinar. And thanks to all of our participants who are attending today. All of this is because of you, so that we can inspire you to connect communities much better. And Elmo, as you have said, at the height of our minds and in the back of our thought processes, network security has always been, and it is, and it will furthermore continue to be one of the highlights of our thought processes when it comes to networking. And simply because the more smarter our applications become, the more seamless our homes become, the more useful everything becomes. Hackers are getting smarter. They're actually getting much smarter at a much faster rate than we are. For instance, if you look at how WPA2 was released, yet immediately after a year and 6 months, it was already hacked, and we had to now move into developing WPA3. So this then shows us that as our technologies are getting smarter, as the world moves forward with new and innovative methods, intrusionists are also becoming much more smarter, which is why network security has to be at the top of our priorities. And working with things as beautiful as the UniFi controller, especially with the integrated controller architecture that we are still going to discuss. You have the USG, you have the USG Pro, you also have the UniFi Dream Machine, and very recently the Dream Machine Pro. These are basically devices that have been introduced to add that security part to the UniFi controller functionality. All of these devices will function as your firewall that supports all layer 3 protection rules, including intrusion protection, and built in, just for the sake of it, deep packet inspection, so that every single packet that enters the network will first be inspected in order to not introduce any malicious viruses and so forth into the internal network. And in addition to that, It is managed on this beautiful controller. That means that you have access to it wherever you are. So the security of your network is no longer reliant on you having to be 24 hours, 7 days a week, having your eyes actively on a screen monitoring. Because from the UniFi controller, you can set yourself alerts that will come from your UniFi security gateway to notify you real time, but via push notification, via emails, if there are any intrusions that have been detected. And you obviously have that firewall functionality in these devices to prevent those packets from actually gaining access to the critical parts of your internal network.
Thanks, Kutso. Let's have a look at some of the actual, what the demo account looks like, the live demonstration. I see that you've set up a little bit of a demonstration for us. Because we obviously, with all of this, the network security and what we've just discussed, it's also about the convenient control of having the UniFi controller. So let's get started with that, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Alrighty, yes. So as you have mentioned, the convenience of being able to control everything remotely. We live in the 21st century, so the age of us having to get into a car and drive 20 kilometers to site before we can troubleshoot and manage and configure is over. And I believe that that thought is captured very strongly in the functionality of this controller. Those of you who have the time, please look at our demo controller and see the functionality that is integrated here as I'm going to show you. So the convenience of controlling your devices will basically give you things such as a device level config. If we go to the left-hand side of our controller, scroll down to where it says devices and click there. Because particularly we are dealing with our switches, let's switch over to the wired side of the network. And you can see all of your devices listed there. You can see the naming convention, and you can also see the uptime. You can see the downstream package delivery, and you have convenient settings such as the ability to locate your devices. You are able to restart your devices on the spot. You can even do upgrades on the spot on those devices, or schedule that upgrade for a later time when the network is less busy. And then another thing I would like to show a lot of us is the convenience of doing port management. I heard Elmo mentioned the port scanning feature, and for anybody that is active in a networking environment, we understand how much need there is for us to be aware of what is flowing through our ports. One example that I will make is if you are running UniFi access points on a unified switch, most of us have seen that error that will come up of 100 FDX. All of a sudden, an access point falls off its gigabit interface and it decides to now go to 100 meg max. One other thing that has been added to this controller for that convenience, if we scroll down to the settings, let me quickly show you in our demo. If we go down to the settings of our controller, and then we click on profiles there on the blue tab, you are now able to switch over to this functionality that says switch port. And just by clicking on that switch port, you are able to see exactly what are the VLANs that you have set up, and you can add more port profiles to monitor real time. But that is not the only tab that you can use for this functionality. You also additionally have the stats tab. As soon as you click on the stats tab, it will tell you whether you want traffic stats, do you want system stats, do you want performance stats, and voila, switch stats. As soon as you click on that, There are your ports lifetime. It shows you what type of traffic interfaces you have set up. It will show you your VLANs. It will show you the full capacity that you are running on. You'll see your disabled ports, your disconnected ports, and your functional ports. And this gives you that convenience because you have all of this on the tip of your fingers to access all of this important information on a running network. And one more thing I would like us to look at while we are still on the convenience of control is the ease of doing our firmware upgrades on these switches. Because of the UniFi controller architecture, you are able to do this real time, select all of the devices that need your firmware upgrades and schedule that firmware upgrades for later. And also by going to your settings and going to the maintenance tab, it will also give you that nice functionality of being able to check all of the firmwares that are available for the selected criteria of all of your switches. Elmo, any more thoughts on your mind?
No, I think you actually jumped the gun with regards to the connected devices that are actually connected to each port. Now that we've seen how you showed us on the settings, we want to talk about scalable solutions and multi-site management through these switches on the actual network controller. Will you give us a bit of a demonstration there?
I think that is a very, very valuable integration that they have brought into the UniFi controller and which has obviously been around for quite a while now. You can see this by going over to our settings and by simply going over to cloud access. So you can go to cloud.ui.com and set up your UniFi controller that runs on the cloud. The ability of that controller is to adopt your locally hosted controllers, whether it's hosted on a PC or hosted on the UniFi Cloud Key or the Cloud Key Gen 2. Then once you have done so, you will then enable cloud access and enable cloud login with Ubiquiti account. What this will basically do is it will take your local controller that has all of your devices, that have all of your users and all of your switches and onboard it to the cloud controller. The advantage of that is that wherever you are on the road, you can now log into your cloud instance of the controller and manage every single controller on every single site that you have running live. This now brings in that nice hybrid controller architecture, meaning that where you don't have physical access to the devices, where you don't have physical access to your users, where you don't have physical access to your switches, you are able to jump onto the cloud controller and manage all of your local controllers on the road. And Elmo, is there anything else you would like us to mention in that regard?
No, I think with now that we've spoken about the actual scalable solutions and the site management, another thing that's obviously an imminent type of infrastructure that's being deployed all over South Africa is fiber. As we've moved across from the SAP ports, obviously there are available like the 10 gigs on the Pro versions. Show us a little bit more on the fiber infrastructure, how you would manage that off of the switch and the convenience again of the controller itself.
Yeah, as I'm on our Insights tab, and on our Insights tab, you can simply just go there to the top and switch exactly what you would like to see. So currently we are looking at our switch stats, but just for the fun of it, there are also port forward stats available there for those of you who will be running port forwarding here. You'll also be able to see past connections and so forth. But the other value is you'll also be able to see exactly what is connected to your switches by going over to your mapping. And when you're on your mapping, for some of us here, it will be on floor plan. When you switch it to topology, It will list all of your devices that are available on the network, and it will also show you what is connected to your network live. This now brings in that nice functionality of being able to understand, to lifetime monitor, view, and control exactly what is connected to the ports of your switches. Why? Because most of us have noticed that with the fiber rush coming into South Africa to try and address the deficiency that has been present in our networks for quite a long time. Fiber is not only the next best thing, it is not only the current best thing, but it is actually the future of networking, simply because you have the lowest loss on fiber than we have on any other networking transportation method. And because of that, Elmo has mentioned it, that we now have the Pro switches coming in at SFP Plus, which allows you to push those ports up to about 10 gigs. My demo controller is misfunctioning a little bit. I just wanted to take us back to the Insights tab. Let me just refresh this so that we can go back to seeing our switches. And the value of those interfaces is we are able to see how much traffic is passing through our switches real time, so that if you should get a customer complaint about deficiencies in data, if you should get anything at all, you have the direct access to jump onto your cloud controller, go into the Insights tab and click onto your switch tab, and then select that particular switch that you would like to manage at that particular time. And you will be able to see exactly what is passing through this port. Is it on full duplex? How much data is passing through that port? Have you allocated a port profile to it? Is the VLAN still running that you have allocated to that switch? And because of futuristic scalability, these switches will go from a 1 gig SFP port on the normal UniFi class, although it is a 1 gig SFP port. You have an aggregate switching capacity of about 52 gigs for the entire switch on your 24 ports and your 48 volts ports. So when you move up to the Pro series, you now take it up to 10 gig, which means that you can literally push 10 gigs of data through that entire switch in a single second.
Right, thank you, Kutzel. There's quite a lot of information on this, and I thank you for your input and the fact that you are sharing your screen with that. I think that is it for us for today. I am going to take over this screen again, and Kutzel, I think it's my turn to,
All right, Elmo. Thank you for my 5 minutes in the light line. Over to you.
That's perfect. Thanks, Kutzel, and thank you so much again for sharing. I just quickly want to send a reminder as I share my screen that obviously this whole conversation that we're having now is definitely available to all of our business partners and everyone that's joining here to have a bit more of an extended discussion. So please feel free to connect with us after this webinar, and we'll definitely chat some more. Just quickly want to show this screen again. Cool, can you see that? Perfect. So I finally found the picture that I was trying to show a little bit earlier with regards to the UniFi port detection. So as you can see there, that is what the app will look like. You will literally see which devices are connected to which port, and then of course the port status on there as well. If you have a look there where my cursor is at the moment, Ubiquiti has launched their new access control, which is creating quite a hub, due to the fact that you can now have a full network run off of the one UniFi controller. That includes switches, access points, surveillance, access control, etc. That is just a little bit more about the solutions and multi-site management that Kutzel was talking about a little bit earlier. Khotso, I don't know if you want to add anything here, but I think the picture kind of speaks for itself.
Yes, the picture actually does speak for itself. But please remember, for those of you who haven't tried it yet, create a free account on the cloud controller so that you can adopt all of your on-site controllers, giving you that access to those controllers wherever you are in the world.
Again, it brings it back to our previous discussion with regards to the convenience of having such a big oversight on your devices that are connected. And the profile setup, of course. Right, from my side at least, Khotso, I want to thank you again for joining me in this webinar. It's such a great, fun experience to have a little bit of an interactive session rather than...
Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure. And like I said, it's obviously better than just looking at some slides and throwing out some information. Ubiquiti continues to do webinars. Our next upcoming webinar is, however, only in April. Please be on the lookout for that. We are going to discuss AirMax and their new Generation 3 technology, the LTU, and how this can benefit you in your fixed wireless broadband solutions. My email address there, elmo@miro.co.za, for the registration link, which I will send through as soon as there's a connection. But I also want to conclude and say that there will be a little bit of a business partner incentive with regards to a voucher that will be available from our MiRO Academy and also our certified Ubiquiti trainings. So please join us on our next webinar. You will receive all of the information on there, plus your voucher code, obviously applicable to people that join. There's the catch. 28th of April at 2, I believe it's also a Thursday, and then we will definitely have another good Ubiquiti discussion. But just before we go, just a quick shout out to GrandStream. I'm actually sitting with the GrandStream PM, which is Khotso. And I just want to say that we obviously use this platform to host IP video talk, and then everything that goes through it. Do you want to add anything for GrandStream, Khotso?
What I would like to say is, for most of us who are on this webinar, go on to ipvideotalk.com, open a free basic account, and try out the utilities. It has widescreen capability, it has green screen capability, it has video sharing capability, and you can access all of these to host your professional meetings for completely, absolutely no price at all when you sign up for the basic account.
Yeah, that's great. And please visit our website as well. There's more information on that with all of the different products that are available. And yeah, thank you again. And thank you everybody for joining this Ubiquiti Network Generation 2 Switch webinar.